Hello everyone. Today I will recap you a K-drama titled Connect Part 2. So make some tea and we'll start. We are shown a Jin Seob who came to the Ripper and wants to ask him about the transplanted eye and who was the donor. At the same time, detectives interrogate Dong-soo and try to find out what he was doing at all the crime scenes and why he came to the astrologer. He started talking about his visions, but they don't want to believe him. When Dong-soo is left alone with the chief detective, he tells him that he will accept his visions to make him talk. Dong-soo tells him about a vision of a murder that is about to happen and that it will involve 3 little girls and that he saw a drawing of the killer. The detective says he doesn't think Dong-soo is the killer and that he wants to protect him as a witness. Jin Seob starts torturing the Ripper. He learns that after escaping from the operating room of an unusual person, his eye was transplanted to Jin Seob, who came to the surgeon for help with the wound. He did not even suspect that someone else's eye had been inserted into him. The Ripper did this because he wanted to see how the organ of the connection would take root in another body, especially since Jin Seob did not have long to live, since he had the last stage of cancer. After listening, Jin Seob kills him. On the roof of the police station, Dong-soo talks about organ hunters and how he has visions. He also demonstrated his regeneration by removing the handcuffs and scaring the detective. But as it turned out, the detective deceived the man and does not really believe him. Then Dong-soo takes off the second handcuff, jumps off the roof, and, having regained consciousness, begins to run away. Meanwhile, Ran is trying to call Dong-soo. After she's injured her finger with a piece of paper, a few drops of blood fall on the table. But when she leaves, the drops begin to move and return to the girl. It turns out that she is also a connect. Dong-soo, knowing about the next victims, throws an explosive device on the school grounds and calls the police, stating that he is going to blow up all the elementary schools in the city. This message was passed to the chief detective, and they say that Dong-soo reported it. The detective ordered all elementary schools to be closed and the population to be notified. Jin Seob, after watching the news, contacts Dong-soo through telepathy and asks to call him. Dong-soo does this, and the killer reports that the next stage has begun. But what this means, the man must find out for himself. The next day, Ran meets with Dong-soo and informs him that his house is now the most dangerous place for him and that he needs to find another shelter. She takes him to an abandoned movie theater and invites him to live here for a while. She also confesses to the guy that she is also a connect and can restore her body. Dong-soo, convinced of this, rejoices that he is not alone and there is a person who understands him. The guy says he's happy now and kisses the girl. On the evening of the same day, a killer posing as Dong-soo beats up singer Z and kidnaps him. When Dong-soo wakes up in the morning, he has a vision and sees a kidnapped and beaten musician and a sculpture that the killer wants to turn him into. Jin Seob shows the phone to the guy again and says that he must come to him alone, otherwise the singer will become another sculpture. But nevertheless, he deprives singer Z of consciousness and shows it to Dong-soo. Some of the organ hunters come to the dump where Dong-soo works and send the guy a video with a beaten old man, his boss. The girl, seeing from the surveillance cameras how other hunters approached the cinema building, asks Dong-soo to leave. The guy runs to his workplace and is attacked. Dong-soo cuts off his arm to get rid of the chain, but his boss sees it all. The hunters caught Ran and started asking her about who made her watch them. When she says it was her decision, they don't believe her, and one of them stabs her with an axe, wounding the girl's face. When her wound heals before their eyes, they realize that she is also a connection and that they can get a lot of money for her. The girl attacks them and runs away. After defeating the hunters, an elderly man calls the guy a monster, and at this moment he has memories from childhood, when other children also called him that. When the guy asks the man for a car to take the hunters to the hospital, the boss tells Dong-soo not to worry about it, and that he will put things in order himself. The guy, barely holding back tears from unexpected kindness, leaves. At the exit from the dump, Ran meets him and starts a conversation with him. She tells the guy that if the world is not ready to accept them, they have to change it, and that there are other connections that he will meet soon. At this point, the guy begins another vision in which Jin Seob assigns the guy a time to meet with them. When he arrives at the meeting place, he sees the killer in a gas mask. He sprays the gas and Dong-soo begins to agony. Jin Seob, with his hand on the guy's chest, waits for his heartbeat to stop. This happens for a moment, but then the heart starts beating again, scaring the killer. In the van, Jin Seob tries to contact Dong-soo through visions. He says that with the appearance of the immortal Dong-soo, his life has become more interesting, and the fact that this eye was transplanted to him is fate. Then he thinks about what will happen if he transplants the rest of Dong-soo's body, who will control this body, and whether it will remain immortal. Detectives are reviewing CCTV footage and see singer Z being abducted. General suspicion falls on Dong-soo, but the chief detective immediately notices that this is a setup, and in fact Jin Seob is the kidnapper. He gives the order to arrest him immediately. Meanwhile, Jin Seob brings Dong-soo to his workshop, where the Ripper's body is already hanging and preparing to become another sculpture. The killer tells the guy that it would be great if, by attaching his head to Dong-soo's body, they became one. Then he brings singer Z and, cutting off their fingers, demonstrates the exchange of limbs. After that, he sets a condition that he will release the singer only if Dong-soo agrees to become one with him. Iran comes to visit the organ hunters, but she is not alone but with a friend. A fight begins, as a result of which all the hunters die. The girl asks her friend to rest, and she goes to the killer's lair. She, hearing Dong-soo's knock from the locked refrigerator, tries to open the door, but before she can do it, Jin Seob attacks her. The killer, wounding her with a knife, realizes that she is also a connect and has an immortal body. He is interested in her because the ability to connect is probably inherited. She refuses him. They start fighting, but at some point detectives arrive, and Jin Seob leaves to deal with them. The girl, without wasting time, opens the door and frees Dong-soo, saying that he must deal with the killer himself. One of the detectives tries to enter the building through a window, but Jin Seob is waiting for him and kills him. Meanwhile, the chief detective meets Iran's friend, who is also a connectomy. He shoots him, but he remains unharmed. Then a girl comes and says that the detective knows too much and he should die, but somehow he manages to negotiate with her, and he remains alive. After a while, Dong-soo runs into Jin Seob. The killer shoots him, but the guy still moves forward no matter what. When he gets too close, his eye, sensing the owner, returns back to its place. Jin Seob falls to the floor in pain, and Dong-soo, drawing his sword, swings at the killer. But at that moment, Lee Ran and the detective appear, who stops him and says that if he kills, he will also become a killer. He also informs that the special forces will arrive soon, and they have to leave. When they get to the roof, they realize that they are late because the special forces have already arrived. The end.